is going on, everybody? Welcome aboard the Starfleet Entertainment. I am your Admiral, Marcus Storm, and today I have another podcast episode. I am joined by my amazing friend, Mystic Sparklewings. Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Uh, I'm good. Animal Crossing game got delayed, so
Oh, yes,
not too psyched about that.
I can imagine how that's going to affect a lot of people, especially with how angry they are. One of my other friends said she's going to try to get a refund and just order it online, like the Nintendo store or whatever it's called.
eShop. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard a lot of people doing that. I'm not mad. I'm just extremely disappointed, and the desperation is starting to set in.
right. Anyway, for this podcast episode, we are doing with in light of the 22nd, Mystic Sparkle Wings. Why is today such a special day?
Okay, so for those who don't know, March 22nd, 2013 is the day that My Chemical Romance officially broke up. And afterward, it was a significantly sad day for the fandom.
Right.
But that was before October 31st, 2019, when they
Really?
officially
On
announced their
Halloween night?
return. Yes, really.
Wow.
The timing was so
Ironic
perfect.
for who they are and their type of music.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they probably did that on purpose.
Right. And that's exactly our episode today. I'm going to be interviewing her, sort of, asking her different questions related to My Chemical Romance, who they are, how she's been affected by them, and basically interviewing a fangirl of MCR.
Yeah, I
So,
get to fangirl on official terms.
right. So, if you're ready, we can get that straight to the questions.
Ready when you are.
The first question is, how did you find out about the reunion and how did you react?
Oh, okay. I remember it so clearly, and I probably will for a very long time. I was actually on a FaceTime call with one of my friends who goes by Allison. I'm sure you know who that is.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember because I was either just scrolling on Instagram and one of the accounts that I follow that updates on MCR news posted something about it, or I think I got a notification that Gerard Way had posted something because I have notifications turned on for him, and I went to check it out either way what it was, and I saw it. I saw the picture that they posted. It's this uh, grayscale photo of a statue, and at first I actually thought it was the Eros and Psyche statue, which is like a famous uh, either Greek or Roman statue. And I was like, and the caption was, I believe, just said California 2019, and I was like,
Oh,
wait,
wow.
what is this? What is this? Because well, you have to understand the fandom as a whole. Basically, anytime any of the guys posted something that was even seemed like it could even be vaguely MCR related, the
They will
fandom
get
collective,
on it.
yeah, freaked out. There was even like a special record store vinyl release a while ago. There was really anytime they would come out with new t-shirts and stuff, or even I know especially when the Black Parade had its 10th anniversary. I was not in the fandom at that time, but I saw when I got into the fandom how people had freaked out over that. There'd just been so many false alarms. So when I saw that picture, I was like, is this it? Is this real? And then I started seeing um, where like the update accounts had posted about it, and then I saw they hadn't had an official Instagram before. They had one now, and they had posted the same picture on that account, but it had the date of their return show, which was December December 20th, 2019, at the Shrine Theater in LA. And the fandom collectively freaked out, and it was kind of a magical moment that I was on the call with Allison at the time because she's kind of the main reason I'm into My Chemical Romance in the first place, and I just It was a magical day.
I can imagine. Thanks, Gerard Way and everyone else, for giving the fandom multiple heart attacks and false alarms. And then giving us this to, I guess, make up for it.
Well, that I'm sure they didn't mean it that way. Like
Right.
they had to know, which I also think
It was planned
it was.
from the start.
No, no, they did post a photo of them hanging out at the shrine where they revealed that they had been in talks and stuff since 2017 over it. But yeah, the fandom likes to theorize they planned it from the beginning, especially since the last song they recorded was called Fake Your Death.
Whoa.
Yeah, like that's not there are some weird coincidences that way, but I I don't think it was planned from the very beginning. I think I believe them when they say it wasn't. They didn't start talking about it till 2017. But
Right. I guess that would bring us to, since we're talking about Allison and she started you on My Chemical Romance, question two would be, when did you first listen to My Chemical Romance, and what was the first song you heard?
I believe it was 2015, 2016, like late 2015, early 2016, around there. Um, I know the first one I listened to was "I'm Not Okay," which was
Whoa.
wildly appropriate. And I believe the second one, because I think I listened to them both at the same time, I believe the second one was Sing. I could be mistaken on that. I tried to like go back and find it in my YouTube history, but apparently when I listened to it, I wasn't logged into my account or something because it's not there.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I remember I'm Not Okay because I remember watching the music video and thinking these guys look kind of like vampires. And and
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit strange at first, but like I kept listening to it and like this is different, but I like it.
I could
And
definitely get a vampire vibe from them.
well, yeah, well, I mean, when you it was actually kind of ironic because I'm Not Okay is from Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which is their second album, but their first album, I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, really pretty vampire heavy themed. They even have a song called Vampires Will Never Hurt You that came from that album, so it was a
Oh. I don't get the third question for those of you listening and watching. I'm not as huge or in depth in the MCR world. Number three being, what is your favorite era in terms of aesthetics?
Oh, okay. So that question, each album they did is kind of regarded as an era per se, and each one usually has very strong theming and aesthetics. And I
Oh,
remember
kind of like
seeing this
a theme or
question.
something.
Yeah, yeah. So for I'll just go through what for the people that don't know what the kind of the main eras and aesthetics are,
Right.
and then I'll answer the question. So obviously, I kind of just said Bullets was very vampire and a little bit zombie if you look into it, but mostly vampire. So that's kind of. It's actually funny because in their most recent video they put up on their YouTube channel where they announced the tour dates for here in the US, the Bullets era was represented by, and I'm kind of quoting other people from the fandom here, uh, horny vampire nightclub.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was weirdly appropriate and also kind of funny. Let's see. So then their second album was Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, if I could talk, and it was also kind of vampire-y, but mostly just like death. But because the storyline for that album is that you have a guy who's trying to save the soul of his lover, and he has to kill 1,000 people to get 1,000 souls to give to the devil. Or I might have a couple of the details wrong, but
That is
that
an interesting story.
yeah, they're really good about that. strong vampire aesthetics and death imagery with that album. Probably most notably is you also have like Undead Ballerina,
Right.
because there's a song on that album, probably one of the most popular ones, called Helena, and in the music video, that's essentially what you have. You have a girl that is dead, and she rises from the grave in the music video, and she dances in, and she has ballet slippers, and it's really cool. Um, so then we have probably the most iconic of all their albums. We have Black Parade, which is the whole story of that album that you see in the imagery is the story of a guy who passes away and death comes to him in his happiest memory, which is when he was a little kid and his dad took him to see a parade in the
Right.
city.
This is one
And
of the
so,
the few songs. The Black Parade, Welcome to the Black Parade, is one of the few songs that I have listened to a lot.
yeah, it is their most popular song, and for good reason too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you have a lot more death imagery with that one, and it's and like goth parade, and that one's a lot of fun
When I
actually.
was
It's probably
younger and I would listen to it, I'd rather prefer to listen rather to rather than to
mm-hmm.
watch it because it kind of creeped me out, the imagery. So I was like, no, I'll just take the music. But now that I'm older and I can understand it better, it actually hits home. It feels really cool and like very interesting way to show that kind of story. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
bringing a book to life or a story, almost like a miniature movie.
yeah, that's part of what I love about them so much is they're just so really good at that. Even their early rougher stuff where they weren't like as focused on the storytelling aspect, it still got that really strong storytelling element to it. And you just don't get that a lot with like modern music,
Right.
which I totally get preferring to listen rather than watch. To this day, I don't really watch the music videos a whole lot just because every time Gerard Way looks directly at the camera, I feel kind of intimidated. He just has that one of those stares where it's like you want to look, but you also want to look away.
Yeah, I've seen a
But
few of
so,
those looks in my life.
yeah. But so that brings us to the um, fourth album and probably the second strongest aesthetic, which is Danger Days, True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. And that one is very, it's kind of hard to describe actually. I've seen the fandom describe it a few different ways, but probably the storyline is that it's post apocalyptic California in 2019. There's a little, and there's this company called Better Living Industries, and if I remember the details correctly, they have invented a pill that just makes people they're just happy all the time. They don't feel other emotions.
Oh
And
my
My
god.
Chemical Romance,
It sounds
yeah.
just like the video game We Happy Few. There's a video game called We Happy Few, and in it, all these people are wearing like clown or mime makeup, and it's very dark and depressing, but everyone pretends to be happy by taking this medicine, these pills. And if you don't take
Oh,
your
that is
pill, everyone freaks out.
oh, that is interesting. Depending on when that game was released, it might have been inspired by them.
Yeah, I can look it up right
In
now.
Danger Days came out in 2010 for point of reference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this definitely came out after 2010. We Happy Few.
Okay, so yeah, it totally could have been inspired by them, especially because in Danger Days in the music videos, there are these guys that are called Draculoids that essentially look like a clown and a vampire had a baby, and they're creepy. Yeah, um, but so in the story, Chemical Romance, they play the part of the fabulous Killjoys, and they are basically trying to take down Better Living Industries. Or I believe in the music videos, more specifically, there is a kid that they're trying to save. Missile Kid is what she's called. I think it's a she. It's been a while since I looked over the details. But that's again broad strokes. That's what the theming is, and it's really cool because the Killjoys, um, they just outfits and stuff, costumes. And so that brings me to say, because May Death Never Stop You, the greatest hits album, some people count that as, but they didn't really perform for that one or do music videos per se, so that it doesn't really have aesthetics necessarily. And then there's Conventional Weapons, which is a series of releases that kind of adds up to one sort of fifth album almost. Again, they didn't really perform or make specific music videos for Conventional Weapons, so it doesn't really have super strong independent aesthetics.
Right.
Which brings me to the question then, which was
what is your favorite
era in terms of aesthetics?
Yes.
And honestly, I thought about this question because I saw it on the list. It's a really tough call because I love the aesthetics for both, well, for all of them really, but Black Parade and Danger Days specifically. But I think I have to go with Danger Days, just because it's both grungy but also like bright and poppy at the same time. It's really interesting. Like, you have to kind of look up the pictures to understand what I'm talking about, but it's a tough call though. Like, Black Parade is definitely a close second, almost a tie.
Well, I guess that would make this next question just as difficult. What is your favorite era in terms of songs?
Yeah, definitely just as difficult. I think I will further split this question into two parts, because if we're talking just listening to like each individual song, that's different from like if you listen to the whole album straight through, like you listen to them as a collective.
Let's go with your favorite your favorite era in terms of album songs as a whole.
So, as a cohesive album, like listening to it straight through,
Right.
I think I probably have to go with Danger Days again, because they just do really good at trying to keep it cohesive. Like, if you listen to the whole album, there are actually, I think, 3 different interval tracks that set up the whole thing almost like a radio show, set in the whole, like, the Danger Days universe, the narrative they're weaving. And the songs all kind of flow into each other. Like, that first radio interval and the first song in the album just flow together almost seamlessly if you just listen to them back to back. Like, you almost wouldn't notice the cut. So I think as a whole, Danger Days is probably the strongest, just as an album, as a cohesive unit.
Right. How often do you listen to My Chemical Romance?
Well, actually, can we back up for a second, because I wanted to talk about
Oh, right.
if we're going on individual songs, then I would say Black Parade, because the album as a whole again has a strong cohesive identity, but each song, if you listen to them separately, you can almost completely separate them from the rest of the album. Like, I'll use the example of Cancer is very different from a lot of the other songs in that, from some of the songs they've done in general. So you can really separate it cleanly and still get a lot of meaning behind it. Or just the same as Welcome to the Black Parade itself, that song, you can also separate and it becomes sort of a power ballad. So yeah, it's just it's hard to pick a favorite for anything.
Yeah. Okay, now, how often do you listen to My Chemical Romance?
Pretty much anytime I listen to music, there is at least one My Chemical Romance song involved. So I probably at least once a week I just sit down and just listen to music while I work on stuff. Probably more frequently than that though. But so pretty much anytime I listen to music, there are some times where I'll listen to like a musical soundtrack and
Right.
not involve them, just because that they don't really fit with it. a musical soundtrack all the way through.
Could
But
you imagine Hamilton, but My Chemical Romance themed?
uh, I will say you could probably have My Chemical Romance cover really any song, and I would listen to it as long as they do it in their style.
Right. Okay.
Like, well, I would use the example of All I Want for Christmas Is You. They did a cover of that, and I'm kind of burnt out on the original version of that song, but I
Yeah,
will
that's
always
understandable.
yeah, I will always listen to their version of it, even though I'm burnt out on the original.
What was the last MCR song you listened to?
Gonna have to pull up my iTunes for this. Let me look and let me hope
Of
I don't
course.
accidentally make it start playing. Oh, actually, it was the song that I titled the artwork I did for today, "Heaven Help Us," and
Oh,
then Desert Song was about to start playing, but that's when I called it a night.
number 7 is, do you have any of their merch?
Oh yes, oh yes.
That's
I don't
probably
have a
given.
lot, but I do have some. Actually, on the thing behind me, I have a couple of figures that I just got for my most recent birthday that I had. Um, they're a little strange looking. They're the if anyone from the fandom finds this, maybe you'll know what these are. The Titan vinyl figures. So
Oh
they
yeah,
look
I've
a
heard of
little
those.
strange. They look a little strange, but they can stay. I like them.
Which member would you most want to meet?
Wait, that was only one thing of the merch that I have because I have about a dozen T-shirts, and then I have a funeral brassard,
Hey,
which is
what?
normally like it's normally like an armband. Um, but
Uh,
it's so big I have to wear it around like my upper thigh if I want to wear it. Just because I have little arms. And that I got that it wrapped around the Greatest Hits album when I got that. So no, it's not a lot, but I have
it's a
some.
start.
Yeah, I would like to have more someday. Working on it.
Which member would you most want to meet?
Oh, okay, that one's fairly easy.
Yeah.
Gerard, because well, he's not only just like the front man for the band, he's also like an artist in his own right. He does comics and stuff. He just this past year, um, he had written a comic called Umbrella Academy, and it got made into a Netflix series, which I still need to watch. I haven't gotten around to doing that,
I want
but
to find it and read it before watching it.
yeah, I actually the last time I went into Books a Million, which was probably actually it was probably sometime in February when the Netflix series came out. I actually got the 3 Umbrella Academy comics because they had like their manga and graphic novels buy 2 get the third free.
Oh wow.
So that made me very happy. But yeah, I would definitely want to meet Jar, but not even like as a fangirl. I would just want to like just sit down and have lunch with him and just talk like artist to artist, just
Oh
have a
yeah. That
conversation.
would be amazing.
It really would. Like, cause especially because I've seen like pictures go around in the fandom where you have like a picture of him from like the Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge era, and on one side, and then you have a picture of him just in like casual wear, smiling on the other side, and it's like he looks like he'll kill you, but he's actually a cinnamon roll,
Yeah.
and he really is.
I guess the 3 cheers, what you said, kind of explains number 9. 3 cheers for Black Parade? Question mark.
Uh, oh, okay. I think it's asking like which I would prefer, or which I
Oh, three
like kind of
cheers
not would
or
you
Black
rather, but
Parade,
like
yeah.
which. That's a tough call because I'm partial to Revenge just because that was the I'm Not Okay was the first song I listened to. That was the first album that I got and listened to. Um, but Black Parade is like so good also. Um, let's see if I had to choose.
If
If I
you
had
had
to choose,
to.
I think I probably would have to go with Black Parade for a lot of the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Right. what is your opinion of I Brought You My Bullets?
I really like Bullets. It's a little rough around the edges compared to some of their
Okay, we're good.
Bullets and Revenge have a lot more screaming,
Wow,
but
screamos.
well, it's I don't think it's enough to qualify it as screamo, but there is more screaming. I will say that.
In other
Um,
words, don't have your volume up too loud.
yeah, that's probably well, just in general, that's probably a good idea. They have a few slower, softer songs, but even then, like even their slower songs, they're not like too slow or too soft.
Right.
But yeah, Bullets is kind of it has sort of a raw quality to it, and I really like that. It doesn't have as strong of aesthetics or as strong as a thematic identity as like still really solid. It's just I wouldn't really recommend it as like the first album to listen to if you're just getting into them. I would actually point you to Danger Days because it's a little more poppy if you're used to more like popish music. But yeah, it's I really like Bullets. I think it's a little underappreciated in the fandom.
I guess that, well, a lot of these questions are going to be your opinions on something, and
Yeah.
the next one is going to be your opinion of Danger Days.
Okay, I feel like I gave a lot of this away.
Yeah,
I really like Danger Days. Like I like the story. I like how much thought was evidently put into that. I really like the aesthetics because I mean it's kind of exactly what the story is, which is like you have these bright, colorful vigilantes in post-apocalyptic California. Like, and it's just a lot of fun, honestly. And that's really probably the best way to describe it. It's the most fun in terms of themes and stuff. I
right.
mean, don't get me wrong, Black Parade is fun too, but it's also about primarily death.
Yeah. Now,
So,
do you have your own Killjoy name?
yes, I do actually. I actually have I think was it last year? I think it was last year. I actually drew myself as a Killjoy and I like studied the outfits and stuff. So my Killjoy name is Neon Haze
Whoa.
because I actually hmm?
I said, whoa, that's actually kind of a cool name.
Yeah, I actually there's a generator or a quiz that you see circulating around in the fandom, and I tried that, but I didn't really like the results I was getting. None of them really felt right. So I kind of sat down and I really thought about um like qualities of the other Killjoy names because their official Killjoy names are Party Poison, Fun Ghoul, Cobra Kid, and Jet Star.
Huh.
and and so I'm kind of like, well, what do all of these names have in common? Like, what makes a Killjoy name? And essentially, I came up with well, they're all kind of they're two words, and they're things sort of like party poison could be like a euphemism for somebody like spiking the punch at a party or drugs in some
Right.
manner. Cobra Kid, I think is pretty obvious what that is.
Yeah.
Um, jet star, you have like a jet like a plane, and then I think everybody knows what stars are. What was that other one I said? Fun ghoul. So I tried to sort of dissect that based on some of the options that had come up in the generator. And that's when I came up with neon haze because you can have things that are neon, you can have things that are hazy, you can have a haze of neon. And I thought that was very fitting for me and my personality. So that's what I went with. And yeah, that's how that went. I need to
Right.
actually I need to actually redesign that character because I drew neon haze when my hair was purple. I mean, no, when my hair was blue. It's purple now, so I need to rework that a little bit.
If it's neon haze, she can have uh, ever changing hair colors.
That's true, but I mean, but and to be fair, Gerard has had a rainbow of different hair colors throughout the band's lifetime. And during Danger Days, his hair was bright red. So,
The next two questions can be combined. What is your opinion of conventional weapons, and what is your favorite number on it?
okay, I really like conventional weapons too. In a way, I feel like those songs have almost kind of in contrast to how Bullets is more raw. I feel like conventional weapons in some ways is almost a little bit more polished. Um, my favorite, I don't know what number it is, I'll have to check, but I know my favorite song from Conventional Weapons is Boy Division, and that's actually my favorite MCR song in general. Boy Division is just my favorite. I love Boy Division so much.
What is. I don't get this next question. I don't recognize this song. WTTBP or Teenagers?
Okay, that's the acronym for Welcome to the Black Parade, just
Oh,
because
okay.
it's so
Oh my
long.
god. I'm
Um,
ashamed that I didn't notice that.
no, it's okay. I think the first time I read it, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I was like, "Oh, wait."
But yes, that
um,
or Teenagers.
oh, that's a tough call because teenagers is just like, especially now that I'm technically not a teenager anymore,
Right.
I start to get it more. Um, but I think I have to go with Black Parade. It's just it's a power ballad and like it's just it's hard to not just love it to pieces. It's the most popular song for a reason. But I mean, Teenagers is still solid though.
Are there any songs that you don't like, though? Any of
I'm
those
gonna
songs?
I'm gonna go with no. I mean, there are ones that I don't listen to as much,
Or
but
at
it
least, is there a song you like the least?
um mm, I don't like there's a few demos or like kind of really early, not super polished at all, like not even as polished as Bullets songs that I'm not a fan of to listen to. I think the lyrics are nice. Like they did a cover of a song called Jack the Ripper, which it's ironic that I don't really care for that one because I'm a Jack the Ripper. I'm fascinated by that
You're a
story.
fanatic?
Not really a fanatic. Like I do not want to be in a relationship with Jack the Ripper. Let me make that very clear. I'm just fascinated by the story and all the suspects and stuff. I'm just fascinated by like the history of it, and true crime in general. But um, and then there's also Stay is like one of their really early ones that they did. The lyrics for Stay are really good. It's just the actual recording that's floating around is a little hard to listen to because it's so rough around the edges. I think it's actually from a live show, maybe. So I kind of wish that it had been polished up a little bit because then I think I would like it a lot more. Um, as for their actual like finished proper stuff, probably I would say one of my least favorite is Ghost of You. Like it's got a solid story for the song itself and it's a good song. It's just I just don't like listening to it that much for whatever reason. I can't really put my finger on it. Like I still like it sometimes. It's just
Right.
not my favorite.
Are there
Fa-
any songs that you have cried to?
okay, so I feel like I need to preface this with I'm just not really the type of person to be like I can be emotionally moved by a song, but I'm not like the type of person to actually cry on the outside. I might be crying inside.
Right.
I think probably the closest I've come is probably Cancer. Just because I mean, even if you've never heard the song, you could probably figure out what it's about from the
Yeah.
title. And it is probably like the saddest song that they've done. Well, it depends on your perspective, but it's probably right up there though. So crying inside, not outside. But if I ever did, it would probably be to that one.
Yeah, that's how I am. I don't really get emotional to songs when I listen to them, at least not on the outside. Maybe I would actually feel something on the inside, but I don't show it. Especially if I'm out in public.
Yeah, I think I got in the habit of kind of suppressing that when I was reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix in middle school during like silent reading time, and I got to a spoilery part that I'm not going to mention here, just in
Let's be honest.
case
It's
still has
not a
not read
spoiler because
or
Order of the
watched.
Phoenix has been out for God knows how long now.
Well, I mean, just in case,
Yeah.
like, um,
How about this? If anyone's watching and they don't haven't seen or read it, uh, turn the video off now or mute it. Spoiler warning right now.
yeah, and
Okay,
maybe
now.
maybe put a timestamp in the description for people. But so I got to the part then, spoiler incoming 3, 2, 1, where Sirius dies, and I was trying so hard not to cry because I was just like, Harry has already lost so many people. This is like the one family, like actual. I mean, I know he was his
Actual.
godfather,
Yeah.
but like the one proper family member he had left, like no, he can't lose him too.
I
And
was gonna
I
say
was
something, but it's from Deathly Hollows and it's still pretty spoilery. But when they showed how close Snape was to Harry's mom, wouldn't that make him like sort of family? I
um
guess.
I mean, I guess in the sense that like some people have really abusive uncles.
Yeah.
Like I know Snape was kind of redeemed by that, and I do think it's really sweet that he still cared for Lily, but like at the same time, you were still kind of a complete jerk to Harry for what, like 7 years of his life? That's a lot, dude.
Maybe he was just trying to hide it.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the like official confirmed thing, but I mean, still, like he could have. I think he could have thrown him a bone once in a while and not been quite so hard on him. But before this turns into the Harry Potter podcast,
Yeah. Number 19 would be.
you skip an 18.
Oh, yeah. If you got to meet them, how would you react?
That is really hard to say. Gut reaction would be fangirling, but I also like I don't want to be the obsessive fangirl. If I actually meet them, I would want to be more calm and collected and kind of just, like talk to them like normal people. But I know it would be very, very difficult to not fangirl at least a little bit.
Number 19 is very oddly worded. Very poorly worded. For a year, have to listen to only or MCR or anything but MCR.
Okay, I think the question is supposed to be
For a year, you only have to listen to MCR or anything but MCR.
yeah, I think it's like would you rather listen to
Yeah.
only them or anything but them? I'm going to go with I think maybe this is obvious by now.
Yes.
I would listen to only them. I mean, I kind of almost do that now. So,
What are three of their songs, if any, that cheer you up?
okay, let me think about this. Definitely Na Na Na, which is the first song on Danger Days.
That's one I've listened and found recently, which I think it's pretty good. I like it.
Oh yeah, it's it might be the most popular song on Danger Days. I'm not sure, but if it is for good reason. Um, Another one for Danger Days also would be probably my personal favorite on the album, which is Vampire Money. And I have to put this in here. I have to. Part of the reason I like that, like I liked it before I knew this, but then I looked it up and found this information out that they actually got offered to do a song for the Twilight movies. I
Really?
forget which one it was. Yeah, but they got offered to do a song for the soundtrack and they turned them down.
Ha!
And then they turned around and wrote "We don't need."
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit right there.
turned down that opportunity when they had to have known that having a song on the Twilight soundtrack, like Twilight was going to make bank, and they
Yeah.
turned it down anyway. That is just awesome to me. Um, okay, so that's two. One more. Oh, and it's so hard to choose. Um,
Especially when a lot of their songs are dark and sad
well,
ish.
actually, that's the thing. A lot of their songs, like, they have dark themes, but like they try to give you like an uplifting message in. Um, ooh, I think I would probably actually go kind of in that vein with "The World Is Ugly," because like the main line that gets repeated throughout that song is "The world is ugly, but you're beautiful to me."
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a
like
good
oh,
one.
yeah, that's from one of the Conventional Weapons releases. Like it's so good, so good.
That brings us to what would you choose? Planetary Go or Bulletproof Heart?
Um, okay, I like them both, but Bulletproof Heart more often. I like Planetary, but I think Bulletproof Heart is probably the one I would pick over the two. But I do like them both.
I think this one's pretty obvious. Which one is sadder, Desert Song or Cancer?
That's actually Desert Song was one of the ones I was thinking of earlier when I was talking about their sadder songs. Because so Cancer is about the obvious. It's about so it's on Black Parade, so it's about their character, the patient, dying from cancer and like telling his loved one goodbye. Essentially,
Right.
Desert Song um is it's sad in like a meta sense. It's not the story per se because I looked it up and now I don't know how true this is, but I've seen a few different sources saying this, so I'm gonna assume it's true that Gerard wrote Desert Song one night because he struggled with like drugs and alcohol for a while,
Right.
mostly alcohol. And he it was one night when he was drunk and he was feeling suicidal and he wrote it. And if you listen to it, like you can hear that. You can hear the rawness of it and you can hear almost that pleading in it. So it's a tough call, but so I would say that Cancer is the sadder in terms of like theming and inside of the story that it's supposed to be a part of, but Desert Song is sadder in terms of like real world implications.
Trying to find my place here. That would bring us to if you could only ever listen to one album, which would you choose?
Oh, I thought I've been thinking about this one because I saw it on the list and I'm like, do you how do you pick one?
Good luck.
Uh um I would lean again towards Black Parade or Danger Days, but at the same time, I'm also kind of leaning towards it's not really an album per se, like I mentioned earlier, but I would almost pick Conventional Weapons just because there's between the five releases that, like I said, kind of add up to one. There's just kind of such a variety there to me.
Right.
Although I could cheat and say, which is the greatest hits album. I feel like that's cheating though. Well, okay, if I can pick the uh, Black Parade slash Living with Ghosts, which was like the 10th anniversary release for Black Parade, I'd probably pick that one because there's also kind of a variety there with the demos and stuff that they added.
Lucky for you, 23 isn't very specific to albums, so you could choose greatest hits or any album of theirs.
Yeah, if I'm being realistic and it did count as cheating, I probably would honestly pick the greatest hits album. Like, I mean, it's the greatest hits album for a reason. So,
Are there any underrated songs that need appreciation, in your opinion?
um, a lot, actually. I mean, it's hard to say because like different people in the fandom appreciate different songs, and I think a lot of people would agree that there are certain songs that are completely overrated at this point. Like they're still good
Right.
songs. It's just
They've
um
just been played so much.
well, kind of like Welcome to the Black Parade. It is such a good song and it deserves a lot of the credit it gets. But it is even I will admit it is kind of overrated at this point. Like I wouldn't say it's necessarily the song that they ever did.
Right.
It probably is up there though. Um or let's see, like the other two that are heralded a lot would be I'm Not Okay and Helena, which I'm also partial to. Like they deserve a lot of the credit they get too. Um, I would say probably actually Desert Song that we just talked about is probably really underrated because it's not on uh properly. It was released with Life on the Murder Scene, which was a thing that they did kind of after they went on tour at the time. Um, and that I actually just got into listening to recently. We Don't Need Another Song About California. It was a bonus track on Danger Days on like a special vinyl release, but you can get it on iTunes. You just have to make sure there's like two different Danger Days. There's like the regular one and then the deluxe. You can find it on the deluxe one, and you don't have to buy the whole album. You can just buy the one song. Um, it's really good. It's almost bringing a little bit of the Three Cheers energy back into Danger Days because it's a little more not really screamy, but like shouty, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot louder and in your face
It's
type.
louder, but it's not like ripping vocal cords, absolutely screaming. It's just like loud singing.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. It almost gets to screamy, but not quite. I'm trying to think if there's any others because this is kind of my chance. Like, I think they're underrated. Give them a platform. Uh, well, actually, they did for Watchmen. They did a song on their soundtrack. It's a cover, but it's
Watchmen,
called yeah,
the
um,
show or
the mo-
movie?
the movie. Uh,
I did
the
not
song
know
is
that.
called
I need to get that DVD out.
yeah, it's called Desolation. They did and actually, I think they did really well with it. I think it's kind of underrated because a lot of people just don't know it exists.
It would make sense that they would do it for Watchmen because Watchmen is a very dark sort of universe, dark movie. For those of you who don't know, Watchmen's an older movie. It's about the DC universe, obviously, about like masked heroes being hated, and people of the world, the humans, want to like get rid of them, say, get out of here, we don't need you. It's very dark, and one of the main characters or the main heroes dies, and they're trying to figure out what to do. There's a blue guy. I'm not trying to spoil anything, even though it is old. Dr. Manhattan, he basically turns against the humans and wants to destroy Earth. And I don't know
Wow.
how far the story goes with Darkness in the show because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't watched it yet. But it would make sense they would do a song for something like that because of how dark it is.
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were. I would also kind of say I think maybe kind of the entirety of Conventional Weapons I think is a little underrated because it's not like an album proper. Um, which even like my favorite Boy Division I think is probably a little underrated just because you don't really like hear about them as often because of that. Um, I think that's the problem with the ones that are underrated is you don't necessarily think of them right away.
Right. What do you think? uh, time for the fangirl side of you to come out. What do you think about shipping band members?
Um, I'm not I'm not super into it. I'm not super against it just because I believe all four of the main guys are either, well, I know two, I think three of them are definitely married, but I think all of them are married, and if not married, then have a serious girlfriend. Um, I know for a while I was kind of like, I thought it was like kind of cute and funny that people would ship Gerard or actually a couple for a little while officially, because you could see like in the music videos of them on tour and stuff where they would like kiss on stage. And I still kind of halfway ship it, but like I also understand that Gerard is married, and I'm pretty sure Frank is married also. Like, yes, he's married. He's got kids. What am I saying?
Maybe it was a running joke or inside joke they decided to play along with.
It could have been, but I think actually it's the other way around. Like the fandom had it as like an inside joke after they started seeing that they were doing things that a couple would normally do, and they were maybe like officially a couple behind the scenes, even if they hadn't like come out and said it. That's really the only like couple within the band that I've shipped, though. I just don't. Obviously, okay, I'm not gonna ship Gerard and Mikey because that's incest, because they're brothers, and that would just be too weird. But like other than that,
I didn't even
like
know
the
that
others,
either of them were related.
yeah, surprise. But I just don't think any of the other members. I don't think they really have that chemistry to ship them. You know?
Right. What? Well, let me see if I have the right one. What do your friends think about MCR?
Well, so Allison, obviously, she really likes them. I don't. I kind of know about you, but I think I'll let you answer that question for your if you would like to.
I love them. I think they're really cool. A good band. They've got great music. I need to listen to a lot more of them. And I've started collecting vinyl records since I have a record player, so I need to get some of their albums so I can actually listen to them, sit down and one day and just listen to all of them straight through. I definitely like them. I need to get back and get into the lore and stories of each of their albums too.
I have a whole Pinterest board I can introduce you to that might help with that.
I'm going to send you a picture, the picture I'm using on my wallpaper. If you could help us figure out who's who.
Oh, okay. So
That way
left to
people don't
right.
get confused.
Yeah, okay. Left to right. That is Bob Brayer. He was like the main guy that people remember as their drummer. He's not their drummer now. I believe the guy drumming for them now that they've returned is Gerard Alexander. I hope I'm.
Gerard and Gerard.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too. And I think he actually drummed for them a little while before the breakup. I am not super sure about. They've had a lot of drummers. It's almost like this is kind of a mean comparison, but it's almost like the drummer of MCR is the same as the against the dark. That's not how you say it. Defense against the dark arts teaching position at Hogwarts. Can't keep one. That's mean. So then next to Bob is Mikey Way, then Gerard, then Frank Ero, and then that's Ray Toro over there on the far right.
Are all of these still, other than the drummer, obviously, are all of the rest of them, and of course, obviously, except for Gerard, are the other three still active?
Yeah, I mean those are the four main guys: Mikey, Gerard, Frank, and Ray.
And which one's the
And
brother?
I know.
Which one was Gerard's brother again?
The one second from the left.
Okay. I can say I can kind of see it, yeah. And just by
yeah, it's
looking
a
at their
little
faces.
more. Yeah, it's a little more obvious in other pictures because in this one, Gerard he cut his hair short and he was bleaching it at the time so that he could kind of identify with the character of the patient a little more.
Right.
So he looks here from how he looks elsewhere. But if I remember correctly, I believe I know Frank and Gerard, between the breakup and the reunion, they were kind of pursuing their own musical careers. So they were still in music, even though the band was broken up.
Right.
I believe Ray was too. I'm not sure about Mikey.
Well, with given all of their songs and their themes and everything, what does your family think about MCR?
Um, they just know that I like them, and so they kind of halfway like them by association. They don't really they're not really into it like I am. Like when something happens and related to them and I'm happy about it, they're happy on my behalf, but like they don't really.
Right.
I remember actually when I went in to announce that day that they were officially back and they were gonna do a concert. Um, I was super excited. Like I was pumped. I was trying very hard not to jump up and down and squeal all over the house. And I told them and they were just kind of like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Can't you just be happy with me?"
Yes, you darn kids and your modern music.
Well, I mean, my dad would probably actually kind of like them because he's into like old rock.
Right.
So
And
he'd
they
probably
were.
actually
When did My Chemical Romance start,
I believe
and why?
2001. I don't think their first album came out until 2002, but like they formed in
Right.
2001.
We might as well get this out of the way. So, for those who don't know anything about MCR, when and why it formed.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Yes.
Um, so the story goes that I've heard and seen reported is that Gerard was so emotionally affected after he saw what happened with 9/11 that he wanted to change the world in some way. Like he wanted to put something positive into the world, and through that ended up that's how My Chemical Romance ended up getting formed. I believe a little bit before and a little bit after. They kind of bounced around with like other bands and other band names and stuff, each of them individually, but that was kind of uh, the main catalyst. And actually, their first song on their first album, um, oh, what is it called? I know this. It just flew out of my head. Skylines and Turnstiles. That's what it is. Is actually if you listen to it and you listen and you look up the lyrics, you can see like that song is specifically about what happened.
Right.
And that combined with my personal favorite musical Come From Away, which is also um, kind of about like the other side of 9/11, like what was going on elsewhere in the world at that time, more specifically in Gander. Um, I just think it's so great to see that such a tragic event, like there can be
I think you might
positive
also have
things.
to explain Gander to those watching. They might not have
Oh
seen
yeah,
that.
yeah. You want me
Gander
to do it or
is.
you want
I guess I'll do it.
to? Okay.
So, Mystic and I, we went to high school together, and in our senior year, we went to New York City, obviously. And one of the plays we saw was a play called We Come From Away, and that was about this small town of Gander, and it was on an island called Newfoundland. I always say
Hmm.
Newfoundland.
Well, that's how it's pronounced a lot of the time, but I
And
think people get it.
it's this very small town of about like 700 people or whatever, or I think it was like 700 people that came there.
Um,
And it
I
was about, it had a very large airport, like one of the largest in the world, I think. And it was all about the events of 9/11 or after it, when all the airports were starting to get shut down, and most of the, and well, not most, but a lot of airplanes were getting stuck at Gander, and the townsfolk were very kind and accepting enough to bring these people in and help them in this desperate time of need.
Yeah, and like
And
it's such a great
it was a good
play.
story. I
Yeah,
liked it so
and
much.
I really liked how actually not to turn this into the Come From Away podcast, but
Yeah,
I really like how at the very beginning of the play they never actually say what day it is. Well, I
yeah.
think they do say like the day, but like they don't tell you that's what it's about. They don't say specifically what's going on. They kind of leave you breadcrumbs so you figure out slowly at first, like,
Right.
oh, they're talking about the attacks, and then you realize, like, but it's not like a super sad play. It's relatively.
It's
I mean,
more
they have somber
inspirational and
moments.
motivational because of how
Yeah, and
nice
it
they are and how helpful
just
they are the
me
victims.
combined with yeah, that to me combined with what like My Chemical Romance coming out of it, it shows that even when we're struggling with a devastating tragedy,
Right.
there can still be good things that come of it.
And
Like,
that's
and I
why I
think
like
that's
the band My Chemical Romance, and I have so much respect for them. Like, I highly doubt it, but if you guys are watching this right now, Gerard, so much respect for you, man. I'm so sorry that you had to experience something like this, and I mean, it's just amazing that you turned it into something so amazing, like a band. That's weird to say, given all the events that happened, but you did turn it into something great for a lot of people.
yeah, I mean, that's like the thing about the whole band because I've seen so many things talking about how like they were all kind of like the misfit kids in school apparently, and that was like My Chemical Romance was supposed to be the antithesis to that. I said that word wrong, but hopefully you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like they wanted it to be something where like, look, we're kind of like you may be kind of messed up, but we're kind of messed up too. Let's be messed up together.
right,
And especially with like I mentioned Gerard, like he struggled with like alcoholism specifically and stuff. And that was actually it was so bittersweet when they broke up because um if you read stuff about it, part of the reason they broke up was they didn't like how they were getting kind of sucked into like the machine of Hollywood and making music. They didn't like that. And Gerard in particular, like he was starting to struggle with his mental health again because of what was happening. And he didn't want his little girl Bandit, yes, that's her actual name, to grow up without a father.
right.
And so it was not a decision made lightly, and it's just they're just so great. I'm just gushing now.
And we're getting far off the list. The next question, getting back to it, is what is a song you would recommend to someone who has never listened to MCR before?
Oh, that's a well, I would say first of all, it depends on what you normally listen to. Like I mentioned earlier, if you listen to more poppy stuff, I would direct you to Danger Days. But if you're into like harder, like heavy metal stuff, I would probably direct you to Bullets or maybe Revenge, depending.
Right.
Um, but one song universally. Well, honestly, Welcome to the Black Parade would
Yeah.
maybe be a good one. But
Might as
let
well start
me,
them off on the most popular.
yeah, let me just have a look see and think about this for a second. Um, because I mean, it's all good. It's all good. There's so many choices. Uh, Burn Bright from Conventional Weapons. That's a pretty good one. I think maybe to start with. I actually put that one in the underrated ones category because I almost never hear people talk about Burn Bright, and I think it's awesome. It's vaguely power ballad-ish as well. Um, I mean, you kind of can't go wrong, really, if like you want to get into them as a band and you are not worried about being scared off by them being a little loud and screamy, then you really can't go wrong with. Well, okay, I maybe wouldn't start with Cancer unless you just really like more slow, kind of subdued sounds.
Right.
Yeah, like that's my final statement. You kind of can't go wrong with really any of them. But if I had to pick one, I would say either Black Parade or Burn Bright.
Okay. Did for these band members, either old or current, did you listen to any of their solo projects, and do you have any opinions on them?
Um, I listened to Gerard's solo projects because he had a whole solo album, and then uh, the year before the reunion, so like late 2018, I believe. Um, he was releasing some singles. I mean, he did some other singles before then, but like I remember specifically when he posted the first one, which is my favorite of the three, Baby You're a Haunted House. He specifically said I believe he was going to try to release one a month and see how it went. And he kind of did that for a while because there was Baby You're a Haunted House in October and then Getting Down the Germs in November, and I believe Dasher was in, it was one of the cold ones. It was either December or January. And then he had like two other songs that were on the Umbrella Academy soundtrack. One was a cover, which was Happy Together. And then the other was Hazy Shade of Winter, that were released in those other months, like between October and February, that I don't remember what order they were released in. Um, and those are probably my favorites. Like Hesitant Alien, his solo album is good, but those songs, they carry almost a little bit more weight, even though they're all very different from each other. Like, for example, Baby You're a Haunted House is it's vaguely MCR-ish. And it was funny to me because I believe he got both Mikey and Frank to do things, like they were doing, I think Mikey was on bass and then Frank was playing guitar or something. They were both in on it, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is almost like they're back, but they're not.
Another false hope.
Yeah. I mean, Baby You're a Haunted House is an awesome song. Very, very pop-ish. Like it's a bop. I don't say that. I don't use that phrase, but like it is a bop. It really is. And like the music video is fun because it's four skeletons in suits, and they're all just kind of like just bouncing along to the music and playing their little guitars. And it has like a filter overlay, so it looks like 50s television. It's great. I highly recommend that one, even though it's not strictly MCR. Um, Dasher's also good if you like something. Well, see, I like everything. You can't trust me because I like everything. Um, if you like kind of more like hippie flute music, you'll probably like Getting Down with the Germs. Or I think it's just Getting Down the Germs, and I think I always say it wrong. And the music video for that one's fun because it's little puppets that are supposed to look like germs in a petri dish. It's cute. Kind of creepy, but also cute. And then Dasher is like one of those songs you listen to like on those nights where you just kind of feel like you feel nostalgic and like just kind of staring up at the stars and just thinking about life and things. It's one of those kinds of songs, and it's really nice. And the music video just kind of makes you feel peaceful and happy. It's great.
This one's probably going to be very hard for you. What is your favorite MCR lyric?
Oh, okay. So I gave my song earlier, which was Boy Division. Lyric is a little bit harder because they have so many good lyrics. Uh
How about
oh,
top three favorite lyrics?
I should have prepared better. Let me think for a minute. If I knew a way to do this that wouldn't take 3 hours, I would have like the lyrics to every song in front of me and just like go down the list, but that would take probably more time than I have left on this earth.
Right.
Uh, well, I know one of my favorites is it's not really like one lyric, it's kind of a little section from It's Not a Fashion Statement, It's a Death Wish, which is one of my favorite songs they did. And I actually I posted this lyrics with a piece of fan art that I made a while ago to celebrate them. So the section, um, when you go, just know that I will remember you. If living was the hardest part, we'll then one day be together. And in the end, we'll fall apart just as the leaves change in color. And then I will be with you. I will be there one last time now.
Whoa.
So hard for me to just not belt out and sing that. But like particularly the part about and in the end we'll fall apart just as the leaves change in color, just something about that line gives me such strong imagery. It just really like clicks with me. Um, let's see, what's another one? Well, I kind of mentioned earlier, in The World is Ugly, there's there's a section in that one. Let's see. I can't, let's see, where is it? It's like towards the end. Stop your crying, helpless feeling, dry your eyes, and start believing there's one thing they'll never take from you. That's like the end of the song, and I love that. Um, there's just, and I could go on and on and on for hours because there's just so much. Or even Black Parade, because I mentioned it's like power ballad ish.
Yes.
One of the reasons for that, there's a line that's do or die, you'll never take me because the world will never break my heart. Um I could just, I could go on and on. But probably my favorite actually is, it's not super deep actually, but I'm not dead, I only dress that way from Boy Division. Or or earlier in the song there's a line that's, it better be black, it better be tight, it better be just my size. I think they're actually talking about a coffin, but I have so many black t-shirts and I have like black skinny jeans. Like, I'm not the type of person that wears all black all the time, but I do tend to gravitate towards black clothing, so that's just very appropriate for me in particular if you take that line out of context.
I do have a lot of black shirts looking at my closet. Not so much jeans, but I do have a lot of black shirts and black jackets.
Oh, I go looking for a black t-shirt. I usually have to pick up like 5 that are not, probably more than that, every time I want one, because I can't tell them apart because it's like I have so many black t-shirts.
Right. That brings us to the bonus and final question. What is your favorite thing about My Chemical Romance?
Oh god. If he didn't tear out my heart before with the choices, he's definitely gonna tear it out now. Uh Honestly, this is kind of a cop out, but like just them, like just the guys themselves, the fact that they exist is probably my favorite thing. Like, and just like we were talking about earlier, how they're such a positive thing. Yeah, their songs talk about like death and sad things a lot, but
Yeah.
they're trying, but like they do that because it's important stuff and they're trying to send a positive message about that stuff. And it's kind of like a lyric that they repeat in a couple different ones of their songs is, everybody wants to change the world but no one wants to die. Like, that is so actually, okay, I might change that to my favorite now that I've remembered that is a thing, because it's so true. It is true, like everybody wants to change the world but no one wants to die.
Right.
And
I feel
it
like
was
a lot of their
actually,
music is made so people can connect to it or relate to it in some way or fashion.
yeah, like that's kind of the whole point, is they want to be like, oh, what is that saying? It's like, be the change you want to see in the world. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they've always tried to do and what they want to do now. And you can see this reflected in Fake Your Death, which was the last song they recorded. There's a line um that gets repeated in that song that's, I choose defeat, I walk away and leave this place the same today. Because it's like, when they broke up, it's like, well, we did our best. We positive into the world, and they could only do so much. So we did our best, but we have to walk away now. And
Right.
it's, and but they're back.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember specifically a little while before the return was announced, Gerard did an interview, and he specifically said something about, um, it seemed like the world could use something positive like that again because things were getting uh, dark and bad again. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he said something to that effect. Yeah, yeah, that just like they're consistent, and that's what makes me feel like they're so much more genuine. Like you can just tell
Right.
that they're not just doing this for a publicity stunt. They're very good at being cryptic and inadvertently drumming up a lot of publicity for themselves, but
Extremely cryptic. They're
yeah,
very
the
smart about it.
what
Sneaky.
I understand, they've always been kind of cryptic like this, except maybe in the very, very beginning when they were
But
still
it is
like,
also fun to try and figure it
yes,
out.
yes, it's infuriating, but at the same time, it's kind of like solving a mystery.
Right.
So it is fun in that sense, as infuriating as it may be.
Yeah. And that's all of our questions on the question sheet that we have. That was
Do you,
very informative and fun.
do you have any like extra questions for me about them that aren't on the thing? Because I could go all night talking about that. I mean, you probably figured that out by
Yeah.
now.
If there's any last remarks that you want to make about them or about the podcast, please do share.
I think I will probably close with this because it's such a great story and it kind of drives home the point here. When they did their, well, so first of all, I will also say they came out and they postponed their shows they were supposed to be doing this month in Japan and New
Right.
Zealand and Australia because of
Well,
certain
yeah.
concerns. I'm not going to say what because allegedly YouTube has been demonetizing videos that mention it specifically.
No,
Um,
it's not like I have them followers and subscribers to be monetized in the first place.
Well, just in case, like
Right.
I think people can probably figure out exactly what I'm talking about, what the state of the world looks like right now without me having to say the specific word.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, and I actually got kind of mad because as it turns out, so the shows they were performing at were for this thing called Download Festival. They were the headliners. Download canceled the festival after they pulled out, and from what it sounds like Download kind of tried to like shift the blame onto them, and it's like,
Wow.
dude, that's not cool.
Come on.
That's not cool at all. But no, the story I actually wanted to tell, not that, but I think it speaks volumes that they pulled out before Download canceled it because and they said postponed. They didn't cancel. They said postponed specifically. And they even said in one of the posts they had hoped to have rescheduled dates before they made the announcement, but it just
I
didn't work
did
out
see
that
that
way.
part. I did see that.
Yeah. So it was not from MCR at least. They didn't cancel. Download canceled. They just postponed. And I think it speaks volumes that they pulled out of concern for people's well-being and safety
Right.
before Download canceled. Like, not trying to take shots at Download, but you do not go after My Chemical Romance because we are a large and mighty fandom and we will hurt you badly.
Very.
That was a joke, um, but no, the story I actually wanted to tell was that when they did their show in LA, like the night before, people were waiting out in front of the theater, and it was still kind of cold, even in LA. And the guys, the actual band members, all four of them, they went out with special blankets, like themed around their new theming that they're doing this time around for the return
Right.
that said devotion on them. And they handed out blankets to people because they didn't want them to be cold. There was even
Wow.
somebody had their dog, and they specifically wanted to make sure they got a blanket for the dog too.
Aw.
Yeah,
That's so
like
cute.
it. You cannot tell me that they're just in it for the money. You cannot tell me they do not genuinely care about their fans. I will never believe that. At least unless there's like solid proof. There is no proof of that. There is only proof that they genuinely care about their fans and they want to do good things. They're not just in it for the money.
Especially for when they formed and why they formed. Yeah, they definitely aren't in it for the money. They're definitely really good,
I mean,
genuine guys.
yeah, and I mean like again, to bring up Vampire Money, they turned down doing a song for Twilight. What does that tell you
Yeah.
about their motives right there? If they were just in it for the money, I'm sorry, they would have taken that deal in a heartbeat. So I just love them so much, and I know things are kind of shaky right now. We still actually don't know a lot.
Right.
There's a lot of evidence pointing to them doing new music, but we still don't know yet.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
yeah, like, oh, it would be so cool. It really would. And I would love to see new stuff from them. I almost don't even care what it sounds like. Like I said earlier, they could really cover any song, and as long as they put their spin on it, I would listen to it. So I kind of don't even really care what they do. I would just love to see it. I mean, I'm fine with them just performing their old stuff too, like when they did the Shrine show in LA, which, by the way, I have a feeling they picked that theater intentionally, the Shrine.
Yeah.
Um, but they did just old stuff for that show, and I can actually, if you want to put the link in the description of the podcast, I can actually link people to a recording that somebody did of their reunion show. I was watching here a live stream, even though I couldn't be there in person.
Yeah.
It was a wild night, a fun night, but a wild one for me.
Oh yeah, we're
Um,
definitely gonna be putting some links in the
and you can
descriptions.
Yeah, and you can just see though, and you can tell because Gerard stopped and just talks to the audience a few times, and you can just tell that they really love and they're happy to be back at it. And it's interesting because it almost sounds like you can kind of hear Gerard almost sounds nervous when he first starts talking, probably because it's been a while since they, or at least since he performed live, and they're just like, and he's like, oh, I don't know about this. But then you can hear it though as the show goes on. Like you can tell he's starting to feel the energy and and feel a little bit more sure of himself. And
He just
it's like
needed a
that
little
picture
bit
says.
time to get back used to it.
Yeah, it's like that picture that I talked about earlier. Said he really is just a cinnamon roll, and he's amazing. And I love him. I love MCR, and I hope they keep doing what they're doing. And like you said earlier, if they do find this, somehow I doubt it, but if they do find this, first, hi. Second, thank you guys so much
Right.
from a fangirl, from the bottom of my black little heart. That's a line that Gerard used to say. Um, thank you so much for doing what you do, for coming back, because I know that probably wasn't a decision made lightly either. Like, on behalf of the entire fandom, I personally cannot thank you enough. And I hope you keep doing what you're doing, and I hope the future doesn't look so bleak for the rest of the world soon, so that it looks a lot brighter for the fandom.
And I would like to say that I hope to listen to more of you guys' songs. I hope to see what you come up with. I hope you do stay and write new songs and new music. Do more performances. I wish you guys all the best of luck in the future, especially with everything going on. And thank you for doing what you do for people and being so inspirational,
Yeah, same, honestly.
especially for people who have dealt with similar issues physically or mentally, and being so kind and accepting of them.
Oh yeah, there are stories. I'm not gonna get into it because we
Right.
don't want this to be 10 hours long, but if you look around in the fandom, you can see stories where people posted like that they met them backstage at a show and stuff, and they would see like their scars and things, and they would just be so understanding and so cool about it and like supportive. And I just love them so much.
And that's even more reason why they are not in it for the money. More proof that they're genuine and nice.
Yeah, that you guys do good, and I love you.
Right. I guess, is that all you've got? Because we are
Uh,
definitely all out of questions.
well, like I said, I could go on and on
Yes.
and on, but I think I've gone on long enough. So, yeah, I think I will stop myself. there with fangirling.
Well, thank you for agreeing to come on and doing this with me. I really appreciate it. I really had an enjoyable time, especially
Oh
learning
yeah, no
more and
problem.
more about the fandom and the universe that they've created. It was amazing and makes me want to become part of it. Who knows, I might create my own Killjoy.
Oh well, welcome to the future, Killjoy.
Yes.
That, that was the best phrase I could come up with on the spot. Or no. What I should say is, welcome to the Black Parade, young Killjoy. We've been expecting you.
Welcome to
um.
the fabulous life, new Killjoy.
Oh, that's a good one. Or Oh no, I just had it. Where did it go? Welcome to the MC Army.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's an actual name for the fandom that gets tossed. Yes, I will gladly help you on that journey. And I had a really good time too. I mean, anytime I get to just fangirl for an extended amount of time about this band that I love so much is
Of
that's a
course.
good time.
And I have enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as we did recording it. It was fun, and I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please check out some of my other podcast episodes and some of my other gaming videos, tutorials, and whatever. They're not the best quality, I know, but I am just starting out, and I hope when I get a good gaming computer, I'll have better quality and some good editing as well. So please enjoy the video, enjoy the time, enjoy my channel. If you liked it, please share with anyone that you know who might enjoy this band. And if you're new to it, then I hope you've been convinced enough to actually delve into this rabbit hole, because I'm sure it is a very deep one.
It is, but it's also like the fandom. The fandom is good people for the most part. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, every fandom has bad eggs, but for the most part, they're good people. We might look scary, but we're very nice. I promise.
You just have to get to know us. You have to get used to us.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you see like a punk in like a leather jacket with spiky hair walking down the street, they probably look a little scary, but if you just talk to them,
Right.
they're usually pretty nice.
Anyway, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy, well, I already said all that. As you can see, I'm very rusty on this. It's been a very long while since I've done a video. I need to get back into the swing of things, get used to it again, just like they've gotten used to their performing again.
Yeah, it just
Anyway,
takes time. You just got to
yes.
get back into the swing of things.
Oh yeah, and you just gotta practice and practice. And it's not easy, but you get through it, especially when you have such supportive friends like Mystic here. And
Oh, I'm flattered.
anyway, as you guys could tell from the intro, I have the new space theme. Welcome to my crew of the SS Entertainment, but my army is the Starfleet Entertainment. And I am your Admiral, Marcus Storm, signing off. Thank you for watching. Tell me pretty lies, look me